time, but you know, I could eat a whole sleeve of these, no doubt about that.
You can.
Wait, I really like these.
I think they brought you a whole sleeve, so go right ahead. But after you tell us what you have coming up. After.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, let me finish my bite first. Coming up on Fox 35 News Plus, we're going to get you inside this House Federal Secrets Task Force that's holding an interesting hearing right now on UFOs. So this is the task force that is chaired by Florida's own Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna. So we will get you inside that. We're also going to dive more into the city of Sanford rejecting that proposed fire fee. So that and a whole lot more coming up on Fox 35 News Plus, if I can put down the cookies, that is.
Yeah, I think they want us over on these, Garrett. How about us doing this to him literally 30 seconds before he comes on?
Sorry.
Yeah.
We apologize.
To make you crunch.
Yeah, you know what? Hey, I'm not complaining about it getting to have a Girl
When the
Scout
11
cookie,
o'clock show's over, have another one.
There you go.
Maybe one in every commercial break.
Yeah,
There you go. I like that idea. There you go. You got to pace yourself. You got to pace yourself. Okay, the funny part is that Ryan really didn't even get the full cookie the first time he tried
so
it.
one fell out. It was just the top part. It's almost like if the Oreo came apart, you just ate one side.
Be careful, you got a big
He
crumb
also
right on
didn't
your lap.
wait to
See
eat it with us, by the way. He just started in before we were even on the show.
These are going on sale eventually.
Put the crumb in the box, though.
No, I don't, because
the crumb. Oh, you're going to eat it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, I won't eat it.
We're going to be back tomorrow morning at 4 a.m., everyone. Thanks for joining us.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Well, good morning to you and welcome into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday morning live on Fox Local and on YouTube. We've got a lot to get to, but I want to go ahead and get us right inside this hearing that is going on right now on Capitol Hill, because this is Florida Congressman Jared Moskowitz, and he is questioning Chief Alexandra Wiggins, who is one of the witnesses in this hearing of the House Task Force, the House Oversight Committee Task Force on Declassifying Federal Secrets. They're holding a hearing right now about what they call UAPs, another word for UFOs, unidentified flying objects. And so let's go ahead and listen in as Congressman Moskowitz questions this witness. We should also note this is a task force that is chaired by Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, also of Florida.
You know, the Tic Tac video is well out there. It's well reported. How were you treated?
I've had no pushback at all. I haven't had anyone reach out to me or try to, dissuade me in either direction, militarily speaking. So I was treated fair, and I appreciate the Navy itself with assisting me with coming here to being able to testify.
That's good. So what do you think the American people should take away from watching your video, right? Because when we watch it, obviously, right, we've never seen anything like that. It defies what we know to be technologically possible. What are we supposed to think? Someone's lying about something. Someone's hiding something, right? That's not normal what you looked at.
I think what the American people should think when seeing that video, along with others before me, is that there is something out there, and we should know as the people what it is.
Right, and so let's eliminate possibilities. So they didn't come to you and say there was a technological error with what you were looking at. So we put that aside, right? They didn't say it was broken. So we look at that and we see something. So it's either a weapons program being reverse engineered by our governments or other governments, or it's nobody's government, and it's not from here. Those are it. You agree with that assessment?
I agree, one or the other.
Mr. Borland, when you first experienced what you were looking at, what did you do next? Like, what was your next step after it had passed and you were done?
I actually kind of laughed to myself and said, okay, so this exists as well. Worked in enough programs, been exposed to enough that I was like, okay, so this is a real thing. I went back, walked the track, talked with a couple of my friends about it. I did talk with some of my coworkers, one in particular, which I thought was a joke, and it definitely wasn't, was like, you probably should never say this to anybody. And then what happened to me happened, so.
What about you, Mr., how do you pronounce your last name?
Nusatelli.
Nusatelli. And sorry, I know I'm running out of time, Madam Chairwoman. So obviously your incident happened well before we could record things on cell phones and things of that nature, right? What did you do when you first experienced? Because what you saw, right, you saw it happen like right out of your base.
Correct.
So tell me what you did after you saw that. What was like your next move? And I want to hear what your experience was.
My next move, I went into my house after it left. I made sure no one had been abducted, and I picked up the landline. I called the Security Forces Command Center. I reported it. I requested that they give me a call back and make notifications up the chain of command. I got a call back in about 15 minutes. They reported that the weather station reported no balloons or aircraft, nothing on radar, no aircraft inbound or outbound. So I got that notification. And then within the following day or two, me and the other witnesses wrote statements. We prepared a report, and then we filed all that information.
Madam Chairman, thank you for your indulgence in my questioning, and thank you for continuing to lead on this subject. What do you and your friends think about it today? You all have talked about it. Yeah. I mean, so what do you think about your experience as a collective group? That'll be my last question, Madam Chairwoman.
I mean, we've been talking about this for 20 years. We don't know what we saw. What we saw changed our lives and the way we think about everything. It was incredibly profound. The object I saw, I don't even know if it was an object. It was a light. It was an orb. It didn't look like a craft, but it did look solid. And that's what we talk about. We noticed the object, and this was a pattern across all the encounters. Someone would see a light. They would pay attention to the light. And then the object responds. It performs for you. And then they come down and they investigate you. So it's almost like they're curious. So that's the thing we primarily talk about. Why did it come after we noticed it? Maybe it noticed us after we noticed it. You're welcome.
I now recognize Representative Mace for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I want to thank all of our witnesses for being here today. Mr. Borland, I'd like to start with you and ask a few questions. Were there any other witnesses when you saw the equilateral triangle? Were there other witnesses that saw the same thing?
Not to my knowledge, ma'am. At that point, the only people that would be awake is those of us that were doing operations for the GWAT and then security forces, so not to my knowledge.
And do you think that, in your opinion, that the equilateral triangle was the U.S. government's technology?
I did once upon a time, but knowing what I know now, I'll have to answer that question in a skiff probably.
Well, my next question is, you teased us, so knowing what you know now means what?
I know enough to know that if you want an answer to that question, go to Arrow. They have the answer.
Do you think it was a foreign government?
I do not, no.
And Arrow was supposed to be disclosing, the last time I was in a skiff with Arrow, they said they were going to be doing disclosures. Had they been doing much of that?
I don't have an answer to you, you. I don't know. I know what Arrow reports publicly, and I know what I've been through.
Yeah. And some of this stuff can be, I think, debunked, right? Sometimes there are weather balloons that look kind of a little funky, or drones or whatever, depending on the angle, direction, speed, et cetera. Are you scared for your safety?
That's a complicated question. So being here today, if I say the wrong word, technically I can be charged with espionage. Espionage is a death penalty. Whistleblowers have faced it. John Kiriakou, for example. I am not scared for my physical safety in the sense of an agency or company coming to kill me, but I have no job. My career has been tarnished. You know, I'm unemployed, living off of unemployment for the next 3-4 weeks until that's gone. So it's a complicated question.
Have there been stories leaked about your life to try to discredit you in the public eye?
As of now, I don't know.
We know they did that to Mr. Grush.
I am aware, yes, ma'am.
They leaked his private medical information, horrific things.
It is.
Okay, you said in your testimony earlier with the chairwoman.
Congresswoman Nancy Mace, a Republican from South Carolina, now has the floor. She is speaking with Dylan Borland. He is the witness who you are seeing right there. A UAP witness, also a U.S. Air Force veteran, and that's one of the other kind of topics of conversation in this hearing that is going on right now live on Capitol Hill. This is the Declassification of Federal Secrets Task Force hearing on not just transparency when it comes to UAPs or UFOs, but also whistleblower protection. And so that has been kind of the line of questioning that you're hearing from Congresswoman Mace. And I heard some allusions to that as well when Congressman Moskowitz was questioning the witnesses as well. Several Air Force veterans are on this panel that are testifying today. So this will continue. We'll keep monitoring this, and if we need to get you back inside it, we will. We are going to go ahead and take a quick break here, though, on Fox 35 News Plus, and we will be right back after this.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday morning, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. A concerning situation earlier today in Orange County where an 18-year-old woman is dead after a shooting on Sand Lake Road. This is near the Florida Mall. It happened early in the morning, overnight, around 2 o'clock in the morning. And Fox 35's Marley Capper has more details on this because this involves a shooting and a car crash and still a lot of questions about what happened here. Here's what we know from Fox 35's Marley Capper.
This is a really sad story. Police were called here because of a crash. When they got here, they found the 18-year-old shot. She died later at the hospital. You can see, we believe this white car behind us is the car that victim was in. You can see the scene is still pretty active. It's quiet out here, but the big thing here is how much road is blocked off because of this scene. So it's all the way down to OBT. This is Lil Will here, and we are on Sand Lake Road. I would like to point out over here to my right, you can see that there's still two of these evidence placards here out on the road. They have been surveying the area all morning long. Of course, we have the forensic van right here to my right. And then even down the street, down the way over here, there's some more evidence placards. And then, of course, more cars blocking off the road. So there's been traffic that's been rerouted because of this. We know that people in the area are really wanting to know what's going on. So this investigation is still underway. We're really still in the early parts of all of this. So this happened around 2 a.m. this morning. And again, as more information comes out, we'll make sure to bring it to you live on air and on the website as well. But for now, reporting live in Orlando, Marley Capper, Fox 35 News.
Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Brooks Garner joins me now. And Brooks, we've already seen a lot of places get more rain than they probably want to see this week, and more on the way.
Yeah, Volusia County yesterday, Garrett, had so much rain it caused some localized flooding. And we may see a similar setup today because the same weather system is still parked over the area, except the difference today compared to yesterday is there's even more tropical air to work with, which will result in more rain. So we've got this boundary between two areas of low pressure, one in the Gulf, one out at the Atlantic, that's acting as the focus point for all the bad weather. And right now, stuff for the most part is quiet, but that's changing as we have some activity on the northeast coast. It's going to be rotating down and pushing into the Orlando area, close to probably 2, 3, 4 o'clock. And as we approach the commute time, essentially a push from the Gulf will move northeast while the push from the Atlantic moves southwest. They're going to kind of come together and blossom in coverage, leading to widespread downpours, numerous heavy rains, occasional thunder, some gusty winds, and rainfall totals, which in some areas could easily surpass 3 to 4 inches. And if that happens inside of an hour, that could easily lead to some localized flooding, kind of nuisance flooding on the roads, as well as maybe conceivably a little bit of spotty flash flooding where the water dries pretty quickly and makes some of the roads pretty difficult to navigate. So we're going to top out today in the middle and upper 80s thanks to the additional cloud cover. Looks like the worst rain will happen around the time of the evening commute, so build that into your afternoon, and probably it'll clear around 8, 9 o'clock. So it's just going to be a real rainy go of things. But you know what? Today's the worst of it. I remember, Garrett, we were having this conversation probably 4 or 5 months ago about this unrelenting drought and how we're dreaming of rainier days, and how ironic now that we've got them, a lot of people are complaining we've had too much. But I don't think it's the fact that it's raining. It's just that we've had so much rain so quickly that it's hard for the stormwater drains to mitigate that deluge, and it can result in some flooding. So we're going to see rain chances going down to 30% on Saturday as we have noticeably drier air working into the region. So this is a part of the forecast that we haven't really talked about yet because we're currently contending with all the rain as our big weather story. But this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, drier air will work southward across the region, resulting in dew points in the lower to middle 60s, which is a big deal because while it's not going to cool down, it will be much drier with much lower relative humidity, making it feel great on Saturday and Sunday afternoons. Let's enjoy it while we've got it, because that's not going to last for long. In the tropics, the same story. No activity expected for a week, but let's enjoy it while we've got it, because that's not going to last for long. Tomorrow's the peak of the hurricane season statistically, and the real meat of the hurricane season typically holds off till the second half of it. And so we got halfway to go. We're only halfway there. We've already had a Cat 5 hurricane, Hurricane Aaron, out in the Atlantic. Let's hope we don't have any more of those big bad hurricanes, but it's certainly a possibility. The Atlantic right now is super hot, as well as the Gulf. And in fact, the Gulf Stream, that river of water off of our east coast coastline, in Florida has water temperatures now at about 87 degrees, which is extremely warm. Typically it's at like 83, 84, maybe at the peak of things 85 degrees. So that's like steroids for a tropical system if one was to track over that, which means that if we have any kind of late season activity, which is inevitable, we're gonna have to watch it even more carefully for its potential strengthening and rapid strengthening at that. That said, 7-day forecast, temperature is not terrible, but the rain chances certainly will be high today. That'll be the big weather story today, followed by what should be a much more comfortable weekend.
Yeah, looking forward to that low humidity, I tell you that.
Yeah, and Garrett, one more thing. When you're mowing the lawn this weekend, be careful with the fire ants, because when it rains this much, the fire ants go for higher ground, which means they build above ground mounds, and if you walk through them wearing running shoes, you'll get torn up.
Why are you telling me that, Brooks?
Just an inkling that maybe you may want to have that bit of information.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, I had some swollen ankles at the Fox 35 Ultimate Tailgate event at Icon Park on Sunday for that very thing. So that's good to know. I'll be wearing the tall socks. I'll be spraying that bug spray. That's for sure this weekend.
That's your Florida indoctrination is now complete. Welcome.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Fox 35 Storm Team meteorologist Brooks Garner, we appreciate you joining us.
Thanks, Garrett. Hope your ankles reduce in swelling soon.
Well, the good news is they are getting better every minute that passes. Here's a live look right now at Daytona Beach from our Hard Rock Hotel camera. You can see tide pretty high right now, and you also see the clouds in the sky. More rain in Volusia County. It's an area that's seen quite a bit of rain already this week. Over the past couple of days, New Smyrna Beach has seen about 3.5 inches of rain in the last 24 hours. And as Fox 35's Amanda Ruiz reports, it's even impacting businesses there.
Yes, the recent rain has left businesses here submerged, and it could happen again. Take a look at this video we got from the owner of R&M Cakes that shows just how bad the flooding was. The owner took matters into his own hands, trying to clear the one and only storm drain on the street. New Smyrna Beach Public Works sent out vacuum trucks to try to get the water cleared out as quickly as possible, but there was just so much of it, the flooding was unavoidable. Nearly 3.5 inches of rain later, residents and businesses were left drenched. The owner of one, Solia Bikinis, told us that she just thought it was another rainstorm until she discovered her shop was flooded with water.
My dad came by this morning and saw it all. Everything that was on the floor, we kind of brought out. All of our family came this morning and just kind of helped everything. Maybe, this is just going to make us tougher and will help us get out on the other end.
There is a city commission meeting today at 6:30 p.m. at City Hall where there's plans to discuss stormwater reports and projects. The public is invited to come out and voice their concerns at that meeting. Reporting in New Smyrna Beach, Amanda Ruiz, Fox 35 News.
We're going to take a quick break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back. As we do so, give you this live look at Daytona Beach. Keep it right here. More news to come.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. You saw another live look in Volusia County there, Daytona Beach. One of the other areas that has seen a lot of flooding in Volusia County over the past couple of days is Port Orange, and there rain has turned some of the roads into essentially rivers, leaving people stuck in their homes because of that flooding. And residents are frustrated because they say a typical rainstorm really should not be causing this much trouble and that much high water, and so they're hoping local officials really make a change. They are certainly frustrated, and now they're calling on city and county leaders to stop that flooding. Michael Springer is the public information officer for the city of Port Orange, and he was on Good Day Orlando this morning to talk about some of what the city is doing and some projects that they have that they hope will help with this issue.
All right, a lot of rain. I know that you guys are talking already about how to address these concerns. What do you want the constituents and the people who live there in Port Orange to know?
Well, Amy, I wanted people to know that this was anything but your typical rainstorm. So since the last 2 years or so, the city's really taken analytical approach to kind of understanding some of our flooding problems and concerns here in Port Orange. And part of that data-driven process has been to use weather stations. So we can collect data to see exactly how much rainfall we received in a certain amount of time. And from our weather stations just the other day there, we ended up receiving almost 4 inches of rain in about an hour's time. About 3.88 was what we record on our weather gauges. Now, your typical stormwater system here in Central Florida, the ones that are built throughout our area, they're meant to handle about 11 inches of rain over a 24-hour period. So we got about a third of that in only an hour. If you couple that with what we were also dealing with Sunday evening there with a full moon and a high tide, because these are gravity-driven systems that have to go out into the Halifax River here to empty out, that can lead to what we saw there Sunday, which is some ponding and flooding that can occur in our roadways, especially those in our lower lying areas and in our neighborhoods that are some of our older neighborhoods that may not have some of the modernized stormwater systems in them.
Right, and Michael, I totally get all that. I think residents would say, look, it was rain, right? No tropical system, in our area right now, but it is still hurricane season. So of course there are concerns. Should a hurricane come, what are sort of the situation or the mitigation that's being taken to prevent, major flooding?
Well, we're doing a couple of things both proactively right now. So throughout the year, the city does routine maintenance on its stormwater system. So we have about 4,800 inlets and drains in our city that our 16-person crew throughout the year will clean. So every month they are in our neighborhoods cleaning off the tops of those inlets so that it can be free of debris, allowing that stormwater to flow into the system effectively. We also have various equipment. We have a large vacuum-like truck called a Vector truck. We will send this out to our neighborhoods where we'll do inspections in those neighborhoods, looking at the pipes in there, looking at the drains to kind of see if there might be any blockages or debris in there. And that Vector truck will basically dislodge and suck out any of that debris, clearing out those pipes. And Amy, we have about 140 miles of pipes in Port Orange. That's basically the equivalent of going from Orlando to Jacksonville with pipes. And we have about 200 miles of canals and ditches that our crews are actively cleaning throughout the year. That's what we're doing on a routine day-to-day basis in the city. Now, for the long term, we also are looking at developing some more flood mitigation projects. So we have recently completed our stormwater master plan and have identified several projects that can really help some of our more vulnerable neighborhoods. That would be Sleepy Hollow, our Cambridge area, Portona, and some others there within the city. So we are in the process of securing some grant funding for these programs. We recently received $3 million just from the state this past legislative session. That's going to go towards our project in the Sugar Forest neighborhood. And a lot of these projects will be about using pumps to kind of move that water out of these neighborhoods a little bit quicker and building larger pipes that can handle larger flows of stormwater in those rain events. And so certainly something that is important, because we know that, like we talked about with Brooks just a few minutes ago, expected to be more rain throughout the week as we deal with these kind of elevated storm chances. Let's talk a little politics here, because we know the race for Florida's governor got a little more crowded over the past week or so with the entrance of Paul Renner into the governor's race. The Palm Coast man,
former House Speaker. He was the House Speaker from 2022 to 2024, and he threw his name in the ring. That means he will be challenging Congressman Byron Donalds from Southwest Florida in the Republican primary for the 2026 governor's race, trying to succeed Governor Ron DeSantis, who is term limited and can't run anymore. Renner was on Good Day Orlando this morning, spoke with Fox 35's Ryan Elijah about his campaign and his message.
Let's start with the decision to enter the race and where you see the state of Florida right now.
Well, entering the race, I'm a father of 2 young kids, so I think about the future quite a bit. Who can we trust? Who's got the leadership background and can deliver results? And I've done that 20 years in the military. I served 2 wars. I was a state prosecutor here in Florida and Speaker of the House during 2 of the most consequential years in Florida history. And so I know that I've helped build the Florida we have today, and I can defend it, but also address the challenges we have in the future, because we still have challenges.
Yeah, and we'll get into those challenges in a second. As you know, the president with an early endorsement in this race with Congressman Byron Donalds. What role will that play in a race that could see even more candidates?
Well, again, I think it's who you trust, who's got leadership, the sufficient leadership experience to be governor of the 3rd largest state in the country. That's a big leadership role. And who's actually gotten things done. You know, we all fight, but not everybody wins. Not everybody delivers victories. People get caught up in petty politics and ego. As a military guy, those veteran values for me are mission, take care of the people's business, make their lives better, put the ego and the politics and the pettiness aside, and that's what I'll do as governor.
Speaker, you know there's a lot of things going right in Florida right now, but Florida faces challenges: affordability, home insurance. We mentioned vaccines before. There's a debate over immigration. What are some of the biggest issues you're focused on right now?
Well, you mentioned cost of living, and look, we cut record taxes. We attacked litigation abuse and stabilized the insurance market. We actually see automobile insurance going down for the first time in memory, and it's going up everywhere else in the country. So that's beginning to work. We also saved education costs through our universal school choice bill, which was a priority of mine, but we're not done yet. We need to keep after insurance costs through home hardening programs like My Safe Florida Home. We need to roll back property taxes substantially and look after the elderly. Look, I think if somebody's been in their home and they're on their nest egg, they've retired, you know, maybe we need to stop increasing their property taxes. So I want to look at all these things to give people relief, keep them in their homes, and make sure we make Florida affordable again.
This will be a campaign that will make national headlines. I mean, there's always a big focus on Florida, the 3rd biggest state. And as you know, Florida is a very big state. You're in the northern part, but there's a lot of expensive media markets. How might this race play out? What are you planning to, how are you attacking the campaign schedule for the next year?
Well, look, we have 67 counties. I'll be in every one. And so wherever you are listening, certainly in Orlando, we'll be there. I'm just up the road in Palm Coast in your viewing area. And so that's a little bit my home base. And you'll see a lot of me over the next year. And we're going to take our message to the voters. And again, it's about who you trust. It's who has the deep leadership experience that I have as 20 years in the military, 2 wars, a state attorney, and a successful speaker. I know how to get things done. I've done that. I've proven that. And I think that's, at the end of the day, what people want in their governor. They want someone who can actually get things done and solve problems.
And here is a live look in our camera high above Orlando on this Tuesday morning. Keep it right here. We've got much more Fox 35 News Plus after this.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Oh, welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I do want to get you back inside this UFO hearing going on right now, showing some video showing an orb and talking about that a little bit. Some interesting discussion going on right now. So let's go ahead and listen back in.
Like this occurring, and what information might you have?
I have heard about events like this. I have heard about this event. Jeremy Corbell and I talked about it in one of our episodes a while back. We did not have the video, though. There are servers where there's a whole bank of these kind of videos that Congress has not been allowed to see, that the public hasn't been allowed to see. Occasionally, some of that stuff gets out in the wild and it comes our way. It should be going to you. You know, the public should be seeing this stuff. And why you're not allowed to, I don't know. But that's a Hellfire missile smacking into that UFO and just bounced right off. And it kept going.
It kept going, and it looks like the debris was taken with it.
Yeah, what the hell is that? What
flies
like that?
Again, I'm not going to speculate what it is, but the question is, why are we being blocked from this information consistently? I want to ask this just question. How in the world, this is the document, I want to enter this in for the record if it hasn't already been entered, Madam Chair. The document that you provided on thread 3, this is a huge file. How in the world did you smuggle this out of Russia?
Carefully.
In your socks?
You know, I don't think I want to be really specific about it because I might have to go back there and get some more sometime. Although,
okay.
No, that'd be crazy to do that. Well, I took the top pages off that were stamped with the security signature, and I carried them out on my person. But the rest of them I just threw in my suitcase and threw some caviar in there as a distraction as well, and hoped for the best. Otherwise, I'd be a citizen of Siberia right now.
And you had, you reported James Lakatsky came to you with government possession of NHI craft and how they ultimately gained entry. Can you testify to the veracity of that claim?
Dr. Lakatsky is an honorable man who served most of his career with the DIA, a very trusted, high-level rocket scientist and intelligence analyst who inspired the OSAP program, as I said earlier. And in full disclosure, I've co-written 2 books with him. He dropped this on myself and our other co-author out of the blue. And it took 14 months for us to get DOPSR approval for him to release 2 sentences on that. He said this craft, we had managed to get inside of it. It had no wings, no rotor, no tail. It had no fuel tanks. They didn't know how it flew or how it was operated. It clearly looked like it was aerodynamic, but he would not go further. He's a by-the-book guy, and until he gets clearance to say more about that, I don't think we're going to hear much more. But it's not ours. It wasn't ours. We didn't make it. We didn't know who made it and how it was built and how it operated. We've got at least one. And I don't know, I think that's enough confirmation that we do have recovered discs and materials.
Lastly, Mr. Borland, in the classified realm, have you been exposed to undeniable confirmation of NHI technology? And then my second question is Base Systems involved in any way with reverse engineering exploitation of non-human intelligence craft?
Yeah, we're gonna have to have a conversation this skip for that. Whether I'm legally even allowed to answer that, and whether you're even allowed to hear it, sir.
Okay. Again, you can sense our frustration, and so I just want to thank you for coming forward. We will continue to fight because look, this is about making sure that this government belongs to the people and restoring the republic the way it was intended to be. Madam Chair, I also have further witnesses of courageous individuals. It was given to me by Dr. Stephen Greer, including Michael Herrera and his testimony. We have Roderick Castle and his testimony, Randy Anderson, his testimony, Stephen Digna, and others, 3 others, all saying similar things to what the witnesses today have said, and I would like to enter that into the record as well.
No objection.
Thank you.
I now recognize Representative Lee for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think we need to make sure that we don't get distracted by sensational stories only of unidentified anomalous phenomena and lose track of what the core of this hearing is about. This is all a perfect example of why whistleblowers are so important and why it's so important that we step up and protect them. With Trump, RFK Jr., EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin, and others committed to dismantling government and firing professionals who do dare to speak out against the threats this administration's disastrous policies create. We have to focus on protecting all whistleblowers, not only the ones who are reporting on UAP. I'd like to thank the whistleblowers who have agreed to come before the committee today and speak their truth. This administration's claims to care about waste, fraud, and abuse, and so often it is the whistleblowers who care and who are the tip of the sword fighting against the real waste, fraud, and abuse. One study found that whistleblowers expose fraud at more than twice the rate of third-party auditors. So, Mr. Spielberger, what are some of the best examples of whistleblowers exposing fraud and abuse in the federal government?
Thank you, Congresswoman. Again, whistleblowers have played such a vital role across so many different issues. One prominent example goes back to the 2014 VA waitlist scandal. POGO actually played a very instrumental role coordinating with Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America. At that time, we received tips and whistleblower disclosures from over 800 different individuals talking about the VA subjecting veterans to extensive wait times in order to get the basic standard of care that they deserve. It's certainly prolonged serious illnesses, even contributing to hastened deaths, and we were able to help shed more light on that issue, which I think just emphasizes the importance, even outside of the national security context. We are often still talking about serious issues and even life and death concerns.
And unfortunately, whistleblowing can lead to serious repercussions and retaliation, especially in this vindictive and lawless administration. Mr. Spielberger, in the past, what kinds of retaliation have they faced, and what are we seeing today under the Trump administration?
So we've certainly heard about a number of different examples of retaliation. One that I'd like to highlight that Mr. Borland referenced previously is retaliation through abuse of the security clearance process. That can have grave implications not just for a whistleblower, but also their ability to seek legal counsel and defend themselves against retaliation. And when we look at the past several months of this administration, unfortunately, we've seen a really systematic approach toward dismantling the nonpartisan civil service. We've seen the mass firings. We've seen undermining of independent agency watchdogs, mass firings of inspectors general, undermining the Office of Special Counsel, the Merit Systems Protection Board. Again, these entities that are meant to be independent and play a critical role in investigating whistleblower disclosures and ensuring that their rights are protected.
Yeah.
That is Joe Spielberger. He is the Senior Policy Counsel with the Project on Government Oversight, being questioned by Congresswoman Summer Lee, a Democrat from Pennsylvania. We also heard right before that Eric Burleson, Congressman from Missouri, Republican Congressman from Missouri, talking a lot with George Knapp, who is actually an investigative reporter out of Las Vegas. Was talking with him about some of that video that you saw showing the UAP or the UFO and some other documents that they were able to get out of Russia, it seems. So a lot of interesting conversation from this task force hearing going on live right now on Capitol Hill. We're going to take a quick break here on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back.
watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Tuesday morning, live on Fox Local and on YouTube. Surveillance video caught a dog attacking another dog and woman outside an Orlando grocery store. You'll see some of that video here in a minute. It shows a big dog that was seen pouncing on top of this much smaller dog, while the owner of the small dog does everything she can to stop that larger dog's attack. And as Fox 35's Chancellor Wynn reports, that woman says her adrenaline just took over.
Little Sparky and his owner, Shirley Passaminick, are doing okay just 1 week after surveillance video captured the moments Sparky was attacked by a larger dog, knocking Shirley to the ground. So she started kicking the other dog as it appears to bite Sparky, violently shaking the 20-pound terrier.
I tried to pry open the pit bull's mouth, and I'm a tiny little person. It didn't work. So his neck was right there, and I couldn't think of anything else to do. So I leaned over and I bit him. I bit him hard, too.
The video shows Shirley hitting the dog with her cane, trying to do anything she can to save Sparky's life.
I'll be 70 at the end of this month. Okay, I'm 91 pounds. I have no muscle. You know, I did what I could.
The attack didn't end until a man came over and pulled the bigger dog away by its leash.
It's your responsibility to keep that dog on the end of that leash where you have total control over him. That's the owner's responsibility, period.
Shirley says she's thankful Sparky is going to be okay.
Sparky, how are you doing, man? You seem to be doing just okay.
It's my baby. He's 14 now, and I've had him all this time. I can't lose him, not to something like that.
Chancellor Wynn, Fox 35 News.
Yeah, certainly a scary situation, and to see it on the video like that as well. Get you to Sanford now, and the decision by the city council last night rejecting a plan that would have basically instituted a fire fee, another tax to help with the fire department and some other issues there. The city council deciding not to move forward with that after their meeting, or during their meeting last night, where dozens of people showed up and said they don't want a tax hike. Here's some of what people told the city council ahead of that vote.
I feel sorry for the commissioners. Sorry because you've been put in this position to have to decide something that that should have been taken care of years ago by the city manager who should have anticipated this before now. This is something that supposedly needs to be covered by a new yearly tax. After all, he's been preparing the city budget since he was hired in 2011, 14 years ago. A few days ago, the mayor thankfully said in a notice to property owners, quote, "There's no budget crisis requiring this assessment," unquote. In that same notice, he said the overall general fund budget, including all revenues, including property taxes, will increase about 8.8% for this coming year. Since that's the case, it seems that a city manager, maybe a new city manager, could use some of that new revenue to save and put toward the fire expenditures as needed, rather than having the commission pick up the pieces and pass on this additional tax to cover budgeting shortfalls.
I've lived in this area for 66 years, so I'm pretty familiar with it. The funds affecting first responders are something that I take very seriously. My dad was, excuse me, with the Seminole County Sheriff's Department for over 25 years. My son was in law enforcement for over 12, and now he's transitioned into being an instructor for law enforcement. So it's still in a first responder kind of situation. Therefore, I don't take this lightly when it comes to the firefighters. But I'd like to look at the big picture, if you will, for everybody probably in this room. And I'll give you a couple quick examples. I got my notification from Seminole County on one of our buildings, and the taxes on that one building went up 60% this coming year based on their proposed budget. And there was no improvements done to the building which would have affected the valuation of that building. Insurance that everybody here is dealing with. The insurance industry is in a shambles. One of our buildings a year plus ago, our rates on that one building with no ever claims being made on it increased over 100% in the cost of insurance. the everyday thing these people are dealing with, going to the grocery store, everything that has to do with inflation that everybody in here is dealing with. The cost of living is just out of control.
I work in the construction industry as a project manager. Recently, my father's been battling cancer. I've had to help operate his business. This has limited my income, made my finances tighter than ever. From 2024 to this January, my property taxes will have gone up $700. When I became aware, I reduced expenses as much as I could. The next thing I know, I get a letter from Sanford saying I owe more. Cost of living and homeowners insurance is skyrocketing. People are being squeezed more now than ever. The City of Sanford government is doing great financially and has seen massive growth in its net position, reserves, and overall income across the board. In 2022, total revenue outpaced expenses by $22.6 million. In 2023, revenue outpaced expenses by $25.5 million. In 2024, total revenue outpaced expenses by $36.6 million. The mayor reasons that fire trucks have gone up from $600K to nearly $1 million. Well, the increase in profits from 2022 to 2024 is $14 million. I think you can manage a couple new trucks without this measure. The growth in net positions since 2020 has outpaced the population growth by a factor of more than 8 to 1. It seems obvious to me that no matter what the numbers are, this assessment is just another low-hanging fruit because you see other municipalities doing it.
I am speaking on behalf of my congregation. I'm a pastor here in Sanford at Riverwalk Church, 801 West 22nd Street in Sanford. And Mr. Mayor, in all due respect, I know a lot of people that know you and told me about you, but I never met you till tonight. But I have a little problem. It sounded like that you're taking and mentioning nonprofit organizations will be assessed as well. I don't think maybe you guys understand what nonprofit organizations do, how much we help people. You got the Crisis Pregnancy Center. You've got churches that feed people when they're hungry, help them when they're on drugs, help them get out of situations. And it just sounds like this is just the way the world is going, that they're trying to do away with the faith-based ministries and tax them and do what I understand how people feel about taxes and nonprofits. But we help a lot of people. Churches and nonprofit organizations help a lot of people. And maybe I didn't get the figures right, but you're talking about $5,000, $1.33 for every $5,000. Now, what is the price on $4.7 million if it's the value of your property? That's what we would have to pay. So I'm totally 100%, not only for my congregation and the people who live there in this city, this is going to affect, but it's also going to affect the place they worship, a place where they get needs met, a place where they get help, and not only that, but the citizens of this country. I mean, citizens of this city.
Thank you. I have the same problem that everyone else does. The city of Sanford is asking me for something. Matter of fact, they're not asking me. Y'all are demanding it from us. Y'all sent us a letter without an itemization of anything. And when we ask for something, it's hard to get. We got to jump through all kinds of hoops. I got a leak on my property, which is the city's part of the property. And I take pictures and everything. No one does anything. But I'm a taxpayer. I'm a homeowner. But you, everyone up here, y'all sent us a letter demanding. It's a demand because really, we saw the vote before us. Y'all voted on something that we had no say-so over and ratified it right in our face. So you let us know that today, that whatever we said doesn't count. But I'm just like the rest of everybody else up here. There's going to be a day when what we say is going to count. So I want you to take notes and remember every face that's in here because we're going to make it count if y'all can't make it count for us today.
So that was last night at the Sanford City Council meeting. Again, the city leaders deciding not to move forward with that fire fee. One of the kind of common refrains we heard during that is the cost of living, the rising cost of living, and the one reason, just cost of everything continue to go up. And that is one reason that we have seen one grocery store chain continue to grow. We're talking about Aldi, which is a grocery store chain that is known for being budget friendly. And Aldi now expanding. They're adding 225 new stores across the country. And across some of the Southeast, they're actually turning old Winn-Dixie grocery stores into Aldi stores. The company says 25% of American households now shop at their stores. And one of the reasons may be the treasure hunt aspect of it. There are Facebook groups where people share kind of the interesting things they've been able to find at Aldi as well. Obviously, the prices are another big aspect of that. Mark Johnston is a marketing and ethics professor at Rollins College, and he was on Good Day Orlando this morning to talk about the success and the growth of a chain like Aldi.
25% of American households now shop at Aldi. Why is this happening?
Well, you know, Aldi lives in that value-oriented space, and that is one of the significant trends we see in grocery shopping now. People are concerned about, you know, what they're going to spend when they go to the grocery store, when they go out to eat, whatever. And so that value space has become a very popular space, and Aldi is a dominant force in that, inside that kind of value-oriented grocery shopping.
They are really capitalizing on this culture of people wanting to save money. But the real question is, the prices are lower, but how are they making a profit, Mark?
Well, it's two sides, right? It's like what you charge, but then what are your costs? And Aldi has perfected the ability to keep their costs very low. The grocery store industry, as a rule, operates with very thin margins, 1%, 2%. So small margins are pretty typical in the industry. But the key, as you noted, is if you're going to charge low prices, you better be able to keep your costs very low. So they focus on a lot of technology. They focus on very efficient supply chains in order to keep their costs low and maintain that thin margin.
Is another aspect of this low margin getting rid of the name brand items and going with these Aldi branded items instead?
Yes, well, that is a key part of their strategy. And, you know who else does this is Trader Joe's, right? So Trader Joe's has their own brands, very successful. Aldi, which, by the way, they have a common parent organization. The idea there is by, not carrying those big brands that they're able to keep their costs even lower, correct?
And Mark, I want to go back to the aisle of shame because really, I have to say in the station, we've been talking about this, and I took a look at the Facebook page, and it's kind of charming. I mean, people are bragging about their finds. They're showing off. Look at these sweatpants I got. Don't these shoes look cute? Are you seeing a cultural movement when it comes to people being proud of saving more money?
Exactly. I mean, we lived through many years of like, I've got bigger, I've got better, and this and that. But we're now really coming out of COVID and a lot of the challenges that families are facing. Today, it's okay. In fact, you can be proud of the fact, hey, I saved money. I got this great pair of whatever, and I didn't spend much money. And you can celebrate that.
That interesting conversation, enlightening conversation there with the professor from Rollins College, Mark Johnston, talking about the growth of Aldi. Well, we are out of time here on Fox 35 News Plus. Going to give you this view of downtown Orlando. Thanks for joining.
regard to this incident?
No, sir. The Navy calls it after-action reports, and not to my knowledge was there an after-action report of this incident, sir.
It's unfortunate. Thank you, Chair. I yield.
I now recognize Mr. Biggs for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you to the witnesses for being here today. I'll tell you that today's testimony should alarm every American, no matter their views on UAPs. This isn't simply about UAPs. It's about government integrity, responsible use of taxpayer funds, and Congress's constitutional duty to oversee the executive branch. I've heard evidence of critical information hidden in special access programs, off limits to virtually every elected representative, and certainly to the public. Credible witnesses report retaliation for speaking out. These are clear attempts to silence those who are exposing the truth. We must protect the whistleblowers. And decades of government disinformation have eviscerated public trust. So this isn't a partisan matter, it's a constitutional matter. And when you talk about the VAs, Ms. Spielberger, and all the problems that they had, the hub of that was Phoenix. And they went after the whistleblowers there, and that was under the Obama administration. So it doesn't matter which administration, which party, both parties have got to come clean, particularly on this. So if the government thinks it can hide the truth and punish those who speak out, Congress has to keep pushing until the facts, whatever they are, wherever they lead, come to light. I'm going to go to you, Mr. Knapp, first. You've interviewed numerous UAP whistleblowers over the years. Question is, how do you verify their claims before deciding they're credible enough to report on?
It's a combination of factors. First, you check their credentials. Did they really serve where they said they did, and did they work where they said they did? Are there any other witnesses? Is there visual proof, film, footage, things of that sort? You ask the people around them that know them, that used to work with them, if they're credible people. That's one way. You know, I think about Arrow, the organization that this body created to deal with witnesses and whistleblowers. I hope I'm not taking too much of your time here, but they invited people to come forward, service members who knew, saw things and had experiences. And I can tell you that the people that I have talked to who went through that are deeply disappointed. There was a guy named Bob Jacobs who was a lieutenant attached to Vandenberg in 1964. His unit would record missile tests. They recorded all of them. On one of those particular tests, a UFO comes out of nowhere, zaps what looks like a laser beam at what would have been a nuclear dummy, a nuclear weapon, and disabled it. And he is called into the commander's office. Two guys in suits clip that film footage out that shows the UFO, and he's ordered to never talk about it. He comes forward to Arrow. He heeds the call, thinking he's doing his duty as an American to tell that story, and they completely dismissed him. They made up a story that they had tracked down the original footage, and there was nothing like that in it. Well, there was no original footage. It had been taken away the day the footage was recorded. He's deeply disappointed. People like Bob Salas, who had worked at a nuclear ICBM base, who saw UFOs flying over the base, and these missile silos were taken down. He went to Arrow, too, and was completely disregarded. It almost looks like Arrow operated as a counterintelligence operation to get people to come in, tell their stories, and then discredit all of them. I can't imagine that any whistleblower or witness will ever go to Arrow again because of what happened under the first director, who's now long gone, but still seems to act as the spokesperson for that organization.
And I would say, Madam Chair, maybe at some point we need to really dig deep into Arrow, and I would encourage us.
Oh, I'd be happy to send maybe a subpoena to Mr. Kilpatrick.
That'd be Mr. Nucatelli, you've testified that official Air Force records of the Red Square incident are now held by Arrow and the FBI. Has Congress or you been denied access to those records, and on what grounds would we be denied access, you or us?
No, the records are unclassified, so
okay.
Provide them to.
In the 2003 to 2005 incidents you described,
Brian and Maureen for taking their time, being brave, and joining us here today. And at this point, Senator Klobuchar is going to take the microphone.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Marcia. And thank you, Dick, for your long time leadership in this area. And I also want to thank Brian and Maureen as well for bravely sharing their son's heartbreaking stories. And I know that you do it for one reason, and that is to make sure that it doesn't happen to anyone else. I also want to thank Ashley, who's here, because with her experience as a former Attorney General, I think she's seen this firsthand, what happens with many of these cases, as have Senator Blumenthal and myself. No parent and no child should have to experience the stories that you're about to hear. And that is because the social media companies, these humongous companies, are not standing up and stopping it. These companies have worked, in fact, to attract children to their platforms by using algorithms that increase their own profits, but at the expense of increasing the risk of sexual exploitation and facilitate bullying and illicit drug sales. We're going to hear from 2 whistleblowers today at our hearing, and they have seen up close how Meta turned a blind eye when researchers called this to their attention. They actively suppressed research into safety issues faced by young users, including on the metaverse, as outlined in a lengthy and thorough Washington Post story just yesterday. After Frances Haugen revealed that Meta knew its platform harmed young girls, it made changes not to protect children, but to protect itself. Meta focused on establishing a plausible deniability by blocking research that showed that its virtual reality products were harmful to kids. While there are all kinds of things the metaverse gave us with bells and whistles and ways to connect and entertainment, sadly, it also provides a lifelike venue for adult abusers to find and exploit kids. That exploitation crosses into the real world. It's not all fun and games. It's not a fake. The Washington Post report showed 2 particularly disturbing stories. A 48-year-old man allegedly exploited a 9-year-old girl on a virtual reality platform, asking for explicit photos and inviting her to his actual home. A 25-year-old man was convicted of kidnapping a 13-year-old after interacting with her through Meta's VR products. But Meta still pushed for new features to attract young users and to allow younger and younger kids into their virtual reality platforms. A Meta employee estimated over 80% of users in some of the virtual rooms were underage. 80% of the users. You have seen lawsuits by 42 state AGs, both Democratic and Republican. You have seen suits by people all over this country that have been affected by this. But clearly, what we're doing now is not enough. In 2022, social media platforms generated $11 billion in revenue from ads targeted to kids and teens, including nearly $2 billion in ad revenue from kids and users that were 12 and under. So our colleagues, we have worked for years to try to resolve this. We have put in bill after bill after bill. We did finally pass the Take It Down Act, a bill that Senator Cruz and I led, that would force the platforms to take down either real or AI-created images of pornography within 48 hours, regardless of age. That bill just passed, and the president signed it into law. But we must pass the Kids Online Safety Act that Senator Blumenthal and Senator Blackburn lead. It did pass the Senate by a 91-3 vote last Congress, and we must do all we can to get that passed. I would also repeal Section 230. If a child is hurt by a faulty appliance, that company can be sued. If a child is pushed to self-harm or worse by a social media platform, it is nearly impossible for families to hold those platforms accountable. I believe that must change. One parent one time told me that her trying to get her kids off these platforms that were designed to be addictive, she would rely on her older kid, who was like 15, to help with the 8-year-old. And she finally said, I just can't do it. It's like a faucet is running water, and I can't turn it off, and it's overflowing on the floor, and I'm just standing out here with a mop. And we need to give these parents more than mops, and so let's pass their bill. Thank you. And with that, I'll turn it over to Ashley.
Thank you. We appreciate you being here today to highlight such an important topic. I speak to you not as just one of the newest senators here in D.C., but also a former attorney general who felt like I was battling this consistently on behalf of the state of Florida and the families and children within Florida, and certainly as a mother of a teenage child. And oftentimes I said, we are the first generation of parents who are trying to protect our children from perpetrators and dangers, and we can't do that anymore by locking our front door. And we are the generation of parents that are expected to understand how to do that and what the dangers are. And for the most part, as I believe we will hear more at the hearing today, we have been kept in the dark. And how in the world do you protect your children and your families if you are in the dark as to what those dangers are? The challenges to raising children today and the problems that we have with what is lurking on the internet, I think, fall into three broad categories. Number one, predators, folks that wish to do children harm, can get to your children in their bedrooms and you will never know. Number two, there are programs and apps and algorithms being developed to target your children and their attention, ultimately having an effect on their mental health and well-being. Many have committed suicide, and we as parents are still learning what algorithms are. If you were born in the decade I was born in. And number three, the sheer volume of dangerous, obscene, explicit, harmful material online that your children can get on and access is endless. So from predators to addictive algorithms to dangerous material, it is a tidal wave coming at families with no way to combat it or truly even to seek redress or recourse if in fact your child is harmed. In fact, as Florida's Attorney General, I brought suit on behalf of our state, seeking to hold Meta accountable. And of course, the first thing they argue is that they are immune because of a law that Congress passed decades ago, before we even had social media, before we had any of these dangers that we were dealing with as parents. They're using that as a shield. So as parents are desperately trying to keep pace with rapidly escalating technology, Senator, as for a country where its people want action. We don't have to wallow in what has always been. That's why we're sent here to Washington, to make changes, to take actions on behalf of the people that sent us here. So thank you so much for hosting this press conference, and for those of you that showed up today to highlight one of the biggest challenges we're facing as a nation.
Thank you.
Blumenthal.
Thanks, Senator Moody, a fellow former Attorney General. And I want to thank Senator Blackburn for her leadership and partnership on the Kids Online Safety Act. She has been tireless, indomitable, as parents know, and I really want to thank the parents who are here, not just Brian and Maureen, but all of the parents who really enabled us to pass the Kids Online Safety Act in the United States Senate by an overwhelming 91-3 bipartisan majority, and I hope not only will we pass it again in the Senate, but get it through the House, because all that you've heard here this morning is just a fraction of the anger and fear that we hear every day from parents who are absolutely fed up with Congress failing to act on the Kids Online Safety Act. Let's be blunt. Metaverse is a cesspool filled with pedophiles, exploiters, groomers, traffickers, and Meta knows it. They know it, and they have stifled and suppressed the research and truth-telling that would provide Congress with all of the facts that are needed to support the Kids Online Safety Act and other measures that will protect children. The Washington Post article tells the story of brave, courageous truth-tellers. They are whistleblowers. They have risked their careers to come forward and talk about what happened after Frances Haugen, one of the first whistleblowers, disclosed powerful documents that showed Meta's business model, which is to drive toxic content at kids, bullying, eating disorders, self-harm, because it attracts more eyeballs for longer periods of time and more advertisers. It's a business model, and it exploits children mercilessly. And Meta took a lesson from Frances Haugen. It was the wrong lesson. Their lesson was no more documents, no more research, no more truth-telling. We don't want to see it, hear it. If it's bad, stop knowing it. Turn the other way, be in denial. That's the lesson that Meta took from disclosure about its wrongdoing. And that's a lesson that is a path to devastating and destructive harm to our children. While we were trying to solve the problem with the Kids Online Safety Act, Meta was trying to suppress evidence of the problem, which was only growing through their new products, virtual reality, fancy glasses that could depict a different reality. To the cesspool of the metaverse, Meta's solution was give them rose-colored glasses that disguise the truth. So the American public ought to be angry. They ought to be furious at Meta, but also at the Congress, which has been complicit in failing to address this issue. We have a responsibility here because Meta says it isn't our problem, it's parents. They are offloading responsibility onto parents who are, first of all, ill-equipped by virtue of their knowledge, but also they don't have the tools. Meta has suppressed parental control tools that would enable parents to do a better job of protecting their children, because their business model is more kids' eyeballs for longer periods of time, on toxic content, bullying, eating disorders, self-harm means more money. And they are developing new products. As we speak right now, they are trying to sell this virtual reality and disguise the truth. That's why we're here. I want to just say finally, you know, I went back and I looked at my notes of 4 years ago for a similar press conference about Meta. And I could have given the same talking points. Exactly right. Nothing has changed. Literally, promise after promise from Meta, oh, we're going to do the right thing now. And then, as whistleblowers are telling us, consciously, purposefully, blinding the company and concealing the truth by suppressing research and obstructing knowledge about the facts to enable a business model that purposefully exploits children. It sounds harsh, but it is the truth. And again, I just want to thank all the parents who are here, because they know firsthand what we as parents know, which is that we could all be in their shoes, having lost children, any of us. They all did the right thing, but Meta did not, and that's why they've suffered these losses.
Well, I want to thank, my name is Brian Montgomery. I want to thank everybody's support, for their support. I mean, it's been unbelievable. Just thank y'all. Thank everybody for being here. My name is Brian Montgomery. I'm a founding member of Parents for Safe Online Spaces. 3 years ago, I lost my son, Walker, when he was just 16 years old. Walker was a happy, active kid who loved the outdoors, football, and living on our farm. Although he had an Instagram account, he wasn't particularly active on it. Still, one evening that started like any other, he unknowingly became the victim of sextortion by an online predator posing as a teenage girl on Instagram. This criminal goaded him into a sexual exchange and then demanded $1,000 as ransom for his dignity. Walker repeatedly begged for mercy, but his tormentor would not relent. Only a few hours later, my son died by suicide. I want to be precise here. My son went to bed healthy, mentally, physically, and socially. Had not experienced any contact prior to that night, and we did not get to see him the next morning. Losing Walker has been unimaginable for our family, and it's why I'm here today to urge Congress to pass the Kids Online Safety Act. The whistleblowers you will hear from today have revealed that Meta knows quite well about the safety risk built into their products. The company has repeated warnings about predators exploiting children both on VR and Instagram. Yet instead of addressing these dangers in any meaningful way, they continue to ignore the evidence and choose profit over our children. We know by now that big tech companies will not change unless they are forced to do so. That's why we need COSA. The bill's duty of care will force companies like Meta to address their dangerous and addictive designs that make kids vulnerable to extortionists, predators, and drug dealers. This bill's transparency requirements means that Meta and other social media platforms will no longer be able to hide evidence of the harms they've knowingly concealed. Congress must pass COSA with a strong duty of care without any further delay. We know our lawmakers value the right of parents to keep our kids safe. Making this bill law is one of the very best ways they can help us do that. I implore them to do that now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hello, everyone. I'm Maureen Molak, co-founder of Parents for Safe Online Spaces and David's Legacy Foundation. 9 years ago, I lost my son David to suicide. David was beloved by all of us. His basketball skills, the way he remembered even the most random sports stats, and how he crushed our entire family in the game of Monopoly are legendary. And I miss him desperately every single minute. Yet in the year before his death, David struggled. He battled social media and online gaming addiction and endured months of threatening cyberbullying on Meta's Instagram. Even though we made sure he had the mental health support, it wasn't enough. Losing David shattered my family. Today, thanks to courageous whistleblowers and lawsuits, we know what we didn't in 2016. Companies like Meta deliberately design their platforms in ways that cause harm to kids. Why? Because making platforms safer would cut into profits. So no, Meta didn't just fail to act. They actually turned a blind eye to research and evidence out of greed and complete disregard for children's well-being. With COSA's duty of care, platforms will finally be required to make meaningful changes to mitigate their addictive and dangerous designs. And parents will finally have real tools to protect their kids online, something all Americans value. Parents cannot be expected to compete with big tech's rapidly evolving, AI-driven products that are designed to trap our kids on screens for hours. That's why Congress must step in. Every day without COSA puts more children at risk. I am immensely grateful to Senators Blackburn and Blumenthal for their steadfast leadership on this life-saving legislation. And I'm grateful to Chair Blackburn and Ranking Member Klobuchar for hosting these courageous whistleblowers today. Still, I hope this is the last hearing I ever have to attend. Congress has all the evidence it needs. On behalf of David, on behalf of all parent SOS families, I implore Congress to take today's hearing as an urgent impetus to pass COSA. Our children's lives depend on it. My son lost his because there was no COSA. Let's make sure not even one more child suffers the same fate. Thank you.
And thank you all for being here. We'll be happy to take a couple of questions. Yes.
Well, Brian Marine, sorry for your loss, but Senator, I have a question for you. Meta released a statement today. They said the claims at the heart of this hearing are nonsense. They went on to say that it crafts a false narrative. What's your guys' reaction to Meta?
I find it so interesting that Meta would make such a statement. These callous and unthoughtful statements that they have made through the years as we have held these hearings, we see repeatedly Meta has proven they are incapable of handling
elucidate the truth.
Okay. Yes, go ahead.
Thanks for having us, Senators. Congressman Bill Ruckus last week told me that he actually has a new draft of COSA. He didn't detail it exactly, but it sounds like it's a little different. Have you folks seen it, and is there an openness to some changes that might be coming?
They have not released their text, and so we're looking forward to seeing what they bring forward. Our goal is to get COSA through the Senate and the House and get it to the President's desk so that we can hold big tech accountable, so that parents are going to have a way to help protect their children. Yes.
And the bill that passed the United States Senate was the product of literally years of painstaking, time-consuming work with parents and interested groups, redrafting and re-redrafting. So we haven't seen this draft that he or others may have in the House.
Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
You've reintroduced this bill so many times.
Yes.
I've interviewed both about it. I've covered the parents who come here every single year to try to get this off
Yes.
the ground. Senator Blumenthal, you say that Meta and all these technology companies are spending millions to try and prevent this from happening. At what point are you going to call out the lawmakers who are blocking this from going forward, who are perhaps listening to Meta more than they're listening to their constituents on this?
And we have done that. I think more than once. That, and as you saw last year, 91-3 out of the Senate, and the complete frustration with what big tech, Google and Meta and others did in the House, and the claims that they were making were so inappropriate. But there again, Julie, it is putting profit over protecting our children. It is creating this playground that they have for these predators and these pedophiles and these traffickers, and they just don't care. They want to make money, and they just don't care. So we're coming at it again. You can say one thing: we will not stop until we fix this. You know what is so interesting to me? There are laws in the physical space. If you sell alcohol to a child, if you sell tobacco to a child, if you expose them to pornography, if you traffic children, if you put children in harm, they all exist in the physical world. Actually, Senator Moody went after a lot of those bad actors when she was an AG. Senator Blumenthal, same thing, when he was an AG. But when you come to the virtual space, there is nothing. There is nothing. So it is time for us to put the same protections for our precious little ones in the virtual space that we have in the physical space. We're not giving up.
The answer to your question is, when are we going to call them out? Now. Because Congress is complicit if it fails to act. And the members of this body who heed big tech more than they heed these parents deserve to be called on it. And we're going to be blunt. We're going to call out people. And I know that Senator Blackburn is one of the most candid and forthright people I know when it comes to attributing responsibility. I'm the same way. So are Senators Moody and Klobuchar. And now is the time. We need to do it now. Every day that passes without the Kids Online Safety Act means kids are dying. One of the parents said to us, when are you going to stop kids from dying? Day after day after day. Time is not on our side. So we're going to do it now.
Yep. Yes, go ahead.
Senator, we've heard a number of times today that parents are already ill-equipped to navigate the technologies that their kids interact with. As artificial intelligence and other technologies employed by companies like Meta become more and more sophisticated in the coming years, how can legislative bodies keep up with these already rampant problems of child safety?
Well, and one of the things that we have learned is you don't legislate to the technology. And it is important that we put the guidelines in place, those guardrails in place, so that there is that toolbox. That is what we have seen as we've worked on COSA, is having that duty of care, having that ability for parents to have a toolbox to work with, and making that social media's responsibility, making it the platform's responsibility, making it the game's responsibility. That is something that is vital to do. And people that say, oh, it's an infringement of free speech, do they think that ratings on movies are an infringement of free speech? Do they think that ratings on video games are an infringement of free speech? Do they think that making it a crime to sell alcohol or tobacco to a kid is an infringement of free speech? Let them try to protect that.
I think that this is one of the, you get a very good question, and that's why this duty of care standard and some of the other things we've done, which have been really straightforward, of platforms having the liability here, is why we're doing it. We're not micromanaging every single thing that they do. And as you know from past hearings, as members of the Commerce Committee and the Judiciary Committee, we have seen some of the questions that members have asked. We understand why they like to say, oh, you guys can't do this. I think over time, the more families that come forward and the more people that have been hurt by this show that if we do nothing, then we are actually giving in to these people who say, well, you guys don't know enough to do this. I don't buy that. They do know enough to do it, and they're not doing it. So it is on us as elected representatives to do something. And one thing that wasn't brought up is these are 4 senators with, shall we say, vastly different political views on a number of issues. So if we're willing to come together on this and stand up, it does mean something that you don't often see with bills, like when Senator Cruz and I did the Take It Down Act. So that's something that differentiates us as time has gone on, that we have more and more people joining our ranks, more and more attorney generals. It has this huge momentum. And I have fought these battles as long as these guys. Some of it's with antitrust. I have seen what they do. They will target you individually with ads. They will say that you're going to shut down the internet. They will say that you're dumb. They will do all these things. And we're just saying here today, enough is enough.
And just to make clear, the Kids Online Safety Act is not a censorship bill. It doesn't forbid any content. It's a product design bill. If you buy a toaster and it blows up in your kitchen and mangles your hand and it's defective, you have a right of action. Right now, the big tech companies have no responsibility legally for their defective products. In fact, they're worse than defective. They've been designed to hurt people. But they are immune by virtue of the current laws which were passed when the internet was a nascent startup
in a garage
somewhere, 96. And everybody was fearful, oh, a lawsuit will stop them. Now they're the richest companies in the world, and they are still profiting by doing harm to children. So this bill is simply about holding them responsible and imposing on them a duty to care for kids when they know their products are blowing up children's lives.
Okay, we've got a vote on the board, and as you know, we have 30-minute votes. So if somebody has a quick question with a one-word answer.
Do one-word answer.
Pick one.
Pick one and go for it, because we've got to go vote before they close it.
Real juxtaposition last week, a dinner at the White House.
Yeah.
That perhaps that what's happening right now on that level when it comes to AI and other development could overshadow your efforts here?
When it comes to emerging technologies, quantum AI, and innovation that's taking place in the virtual space, it's fair to say there is a lot of good. It is also fair to say there is misuse and there is lack of accountability with some of these social media platforms. I would be hopeful that these tech firms would realize what they are doing to our nation's children. Go talk to child psychologists, psychiatrists, principals, parents, listen to them, and join us. This is their opportunity to join us in protecting our nation's children in the virtual space. I encourage them to do that. Thank you all so much.
Thanks a lot.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Up to vote.
Listen,
For
always.
doing it. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Brian.
Okay.
Brian,
Thank you.
thank you. We appreciate it.
Really good work.
You gonna come down to Mississippi State?